It's a question I really can't answer because only uh, one of my grandparents kept in touch with family in the old country. I'm a product of the Jewish immigration to New York at the turn of the 20th century. So my grandparents, or their parents, my great grandparents, came from four different countries in Eastern Europe. So the family that we were in touch with was in Poland. And we know that in Częstochowa, Poland, three of my relatives were pulled out of their home by the Nazis. And they were taken to a town square along with all of their other Jewish neighbors. And the Nazis randomly shot into the crowd, and there were many deaths that occurred from that shooting. And the survivors from that were loaded up into the trains that went to the concentration camp. So the reason that we know about it was that the son of one of them actually successfully hid and witnessed all of this, and then escaped into Russia, and he wrote family members who were in London about what had happened. So we know for sure that those three relatives were killed, and then subsequently this son of theirs who had escaped into Russia was never heard from again. So we don't know what happened to him in Russia. Of course, where he was, that area was occupied by the Nazis too, so he never really escaped from a Nazi-occupied area. The presumption is that he is a fourth relative who was murdered. My other three grandparents all came from areas that were occupied by the Nazis, so it's a fair assumption that they were affected by the Nazi occupation as well. I was raised Jewish and Zionist um, in an environment where being Zionist was seen as an integral part of our Jewishness. Um, it was inconceivable to me that you could be Jewish and not Zionist. I never even met any Jews who were not Zionists growing up. And I was a teenage president of Zionist youth group. In my 20s, I went to live and work in Israel, and I considered settling there. I actually, even though I was completely indoctrinated, I didn't like it there. I really felt the racism. And fortunately, while I was there, I had a better job offer stateside, and I came back. But it really wasn't until middle age that I became acquainted with the actual history that cut through all the lies that I had been raised with. And it was very traumatic, very emotional. I feel like I'm still recovering from the shock of coming to understand that I've been lied to all my life. All of the Western governments are lying to the people in their support of Israel, calling Israel a democracy, calling Israel our ally in the Middle East, and propping up the necessity for supporting Israel, and committing all these regime changes all over the region in order to Zionize the region and make it friendly for Israel expansion. So our governments are lying to us. But for me, having been raised Jewish, I'm pretty much from ground zero of that lie. I'm from the heart of that lie. I mean, the Jewish people produced the Zionist movement, and the Zionist movement infiltrated governments, infiltrated Christianity in the form of the Schofield Reference Bible and the Christian Zionist movement that came out of that. So it's basically Jewish Zionist infiltration into the American government that influenced us to attacking Iraq in 2003. So, I feel like I'm the product of a cult, a pernicious cult, a very evil agenda. And I feel that's why I'm here. I feel a responsibility to come out and speak about it and say, first of all, to tell my Palestinian friends who I've come to know and who are such lovely people. I mean, Arab hospitality is just legendary, and it's really true. Just warm and lovely people, and just say to them, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the ethnic cleansing that my people committed in your country. I'm sorry that even in a small way, I was part of it. I acted based on what I was told. I was president of a Zionist youth group because I was told, that we just went back to our homeland. We didn't do anything bad to anybody. We wanted to be friendly neighbors to the Arabs, and they just hated us for no reason, just like the whole world hates the Jew for no reason. This is cult mentality that I came from, and I was a product of it. And I acted the way I did because I was a product of it. And now in my middle age, when I understand what I come from, I'm trying to make amends. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to talk to other Jews and say, look, you've been lied to. This is a violent agenda that we've been following, and we need to change. And they don't want to hear it, man. I'm called a self-hating Jew. I'm called every insult in the book. I'm treated, I've had lots of violent incidents. I had a rabbi shouting obscenities at my house, The one way that I'm seen as being something of an extremist, and I don't think it makes me an extremist, is that I don't separate Zionism and Judaism. And this is the claim that Zionists make, that Zionism is integral to Judaism. And this is what the anti-Zionist Jews say is a lie. Netra Karta say, no, they're Jews, they're not Zionists. Well, Zionism and Judaism have an interesting relationship, because Judaism, the religion, a big part of it is about exile and return from this real estate. The Jewish religion is all about how we're in exile and we are not going to be allowed to return until we merit return, we merit the return of the Messiah, and then we can return. Well, so the debate between Zionist Jews and anti-Zionist Jews is that Zionist Jews say, well, we're just going to return now. Messiah or no Messiah. Or they say the Messianic era has begun, so we can return. They look for ways to justify it. And the anti-Zionist Jews, the Orthodox ones, say, well, we can't return until the Messiah comes. And my question to them is, well, what happens when you decide that the Messiah comes? Are you going to commit an ethnic cleansing too? And then the anti-Zionist, non-religious Jews just say, well, the whole religious aspect of it is bunk. Well, I don't think that holds water. I think that Judaism is a big part of the question. And I think that what needs to be addressed is the whole component of the religion that's about exile and return, especially for Ashkenazi white European Jews like myself. We're not descended from ancient Israelites. We're descended from converts to Judaism, at least mostly. Maybe I have some ancient Israelite blood in me, but you can see by my green eyes, you can't see my light-colored hair because I'm wearing a hat. But I'm white. I'm not a Semite, so I'm not returning to this land. The whole idea of white Ashkenazi Jews returning to that land is a lie. The fact of the matter is that the Palestinian Muslims and Christians are descendant from ancient Israelites, and we're ethnically cleansing them. It would have been other Orthodox Jews that would have done that. Netra Karta have a lot of integrity, and I have a lot of respect for them. I don't like the Jewish religion. I don't agree with a lot of their ideas vis-a-vis Judaism itself, but I think they're very dedicated to opposing Zionism, opposing the state of Israel, and supporting the Palestinians.
Are they supporting Palestinians, or are they supporting their own agenda?
I think they're doing both. I'm not going to, fall into being seduced into vilifying Neturei Karta in any way. I don't like Judaism, and I'm not joining them. I've been invited. But they are nonviolent. They would not pay Mexicans to come to a protest. But there are Orthodox Jews who have done that. In fact, I attended a demonstration in New York. There's an annual Salute to Israel parade, and there's a counter demonstration every year. And there was one year where, I'm not sure if they were Mexican or Guatemalan or other Central Americans, but there was a presence of Latino men dressed as Orthodox Jews, holding signs opposing homosexuality or opposing the tolerance of homosexuality in Israel. And clearly they were placed there to undermine the counter demonstration. But I'm quite sure that Neturei Karta did not put them up to it. It was Zionist Jews that did put them up to it. I don't know how that's going to be possible. I mean, are you going to hold all of Christianity responsible for the Westboro Baptist Church? I don't think you can. The JDL are certainly an extremist Zionist organization. I think that if they were out here hitting people with sticks, the police should have been out here to prevent that from happening. And I'll tell you, being a resident of New Jersey and going to demonstrations in New York City all the time, I'm very impressed with the New York police, and they're extremely efficient in preventing violent incidents from happening. And I don't see that as much here in Washington, D.C. I think the police presence could be stronger. Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, it's an AIPAC convention. AIPAC should have been proactive in containing the JDL extremists. There were different groups active here today, and I did not witness the JDL incidents, although the JDL were still here when I came, and I saw them. But the violence that occurred happened before I arrived, because I came from the group that started at the White House and marched across H Street and came here. The Jewish group, if not now, when? They were terrific.
Yeah.
Free Palestine. You know what? Everybody's talking about making plans for what we're going to do here next year. Palestine will be free by next year. The tide is turning. People are understanding. I'm seeing, when I'm out, there's people asking me, why am I out? Why do I have this passion for making this point, that as a person raised Jewish and Zionist, that I have to support the Palestinian people and oppose the way I was raised. People want to know about it. They're asking me much more now than before, and I've been active for a long time.